Okay, so I have been struggling and I actually want to talk about it because I feel like I'm not the only one. And it's not just like one thing, it's a couple of things. So, when you get up and you just can't go to the gym, it's good for your body, it's good for your mental health, that it's good for your well being, but you can't go to the gym or you can't stick to a routine and it really just spirals out of control. I used to think that it was just kind of me failing and that I can't get the gym right or that I don't like the gym. I know that I'm focusing quite heavily on the gym, but this is what kind of led me to this conversation. And I think it's really important to have with others. But it's what I realized it's part of a bigger pattern. And so, this video, particularly, is a video for you if your brain thrives on plans and routines but sometimes or lately, those plans aren't working. And today we're going to talk about why autistic rigidity and ADHD paralysis kind of create this internal chaos. What's actually behind why we panic and why the plans fall apart. And how to use your planner like to get out of the spiral and kind of see that big picture again because it's hard. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. All right, so if you're ADHD, neurodivergent, or just exhausted by your own expectations, this channel is legitimately made for you. So please tap the bell, hit subscribe, and let's get into it because I'm someone who lives in planners. Basically, it's my autistic superpower. Structure makes me feel safe, visual layouts help me feel in control. But lately, I've been struggling even to use my planner. When I sit down with some of my other neurospicy friends, I realized I wasn't just failing to go to the gym, I was losing access to my executive function, and my routines weren't broken. The process I was using was, or at least that's how I felt. And that's what we're talking about today. So, hi, I'm Nicola, your neurofabulous friend who normally lives in a color coded planner paradise. But this week, I started my to do list and it was literally like I was looking at something from ancient ruins and literally forgot how time works. So, yeah, executive function has left the building and we need to talk about it. So, let's take a minute here just to talk about how this came about. I know that for my own health and well-being, I need to go to the gym. When I go to the gym, it fucking sucks. I hate the gym. I get no serotonin, I get no dopamine, it's bright, it's loud, and I'm like, it's hard, and I'm just like, and I legitimately cannot bring myself to do it. And this is kind of what led to the conversation. So I had a really long conversation with my partner about this, and I was like, I've taken some time to reflect on why this is a problem. And what we established was it was my autistic rigid thinking. So let's start there. So, one of the biggest players in this whole hot mess was my rigid thinking. In clinical terms, it's called cognitive inflexibility, and it's a common trait in autistic brains. And what it means is once a rule or a routine is in place, even if I made it up myself, it becomes real and it becomes the law. So the idea of doing something differently or doing something in a different way doesn't just feel uncomfortable, it feels wrong and sometimes even threatening. So here's where it gets bonkers and also painfully real. I physically cannot start something new on a Tuesday or a Wednesday or a Thursday. It has to be a Monday. I have to start something new on a Monday. Mm. Now, literally, as the words are coming out of my mouth, I know how ridiculous that sounds. When I say it out loud, I'm like, oh my Lord, girl, please. But if I miss the Monday, my brain goes, well, too late now. Guess we'll start the next Monday. And that is how to, like, it is inflexible. The rule is in my head. Man, let me tell you the bliss I get when the first of the month starts on a Monday. It's like my whole world is safer and more beautiful and brightly colored. It's so stupid. It's so wild. I laugh at myself. So This is where we're at. I guess we'll start next week, right? Because in my head, Monday equals clean start. Tuesday, tacos, it's chaos. It's practically illegal in my brain. And it doesn't matter if it's just one day later. I get that. Like, rationally, I get that. But my brain has already decided that the timeline is broken and there is no way to fix it midstream. So it's the same with the gym. I plan in my brain. I have got a quota of 3 times I have to go in a week to the gym, because that's what the personal trainer said to me. He said, you've got to go 3 times a week to do this thing. And I was like, okay, cool. So I plan to go 3 times a week, and I'll put it in the calendar and I'll highlight it and I'll schedule the exact blocks of time that I am spending there, because now the rules in my head, not only can we not only start on a Monday, the rules in my head tell me that between, I'm just using this as an example, it's not the real ones, because if I told you the real ones, I feel like someone's going to send a psychologist after me to do therapy, which is fine because I do that anyway. Please, we're in a spiral now. Soz. You're seeing like real time hot mess. So in my mind, let's call it between 8 and 6 p.m. in my mind are productivity times. Anytime before that, I can take as personal time. So anytime before 8 a.m. is like personal time, dropping kids off, I could go to the gym then, or anytime after 6 p.m. is safe time. So like, let's call it on either side, it's like buffer time, it's safe. Anytime between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. is unsafe time. That time is solely for productivity. If it is not for productivity, then it is a waste of my time. And that includes really ridiculous things like eating lunch. Yeah, this is wild. I literally, as I say the words out loud, I feel like I'm gaslighting myself essentially, but I'm not. But in summary, I have set rules for myself in my mind, and then I stick to those rules. So if I miss one session of my 3 allotted quoted times, if I miss one, my brain tells me that the entire week is ruined. The quota is broken. So instead of just adjusting the plan, I spiral, and there, much like I'm doing now, because I'm literally talking to you about how this is happening, I feel like there's no point in doing the other 2 sessions because I've already failed. So like, it's gone. Like, why should I even try if it's finished? So I give up, and then I'm like, okay, I'll try again on the next Monday. So dumb. So I give up, literally give up. And then I feel guilty. I feel so unbelievably guilty. And I call myself lazy, and which I know I'm not. I'm just stuck in a rule that I can't rewrite. Okay, so we've covered the autism side, the rigid thinking, the routine, the rules. I legitimately cannot bend. Like, I don't know how to explain to people that are neurotypical. I literally cannot change the rule because the rule is the rule. Even though I made up the rule, can't change the rule because the rule is the rule. That is how the rule works. And that is how it will always work. It hurts me to think that I would change the rule. So now we throw ADHD in the mix. So messed up. If autism is like having a rule book carved in stone, ADHD is like a glitter tornado full of half-started ideas, forgotten snacks, and probably like 47 tabs open in my brain at one time. And that would be fine if they didn't live there together in one brain. Just, but they do. And this is legitimately where it starts getting spicy. Okay, so I want to know in the comments below, what does ADHD paralysis look like to you? Or like, what autistic rules have you put in place that you can't shift? I'm curious to know, because like, I know I'm not the only autistic person that is like, these are the rules, you cannot bend them. Ha ha ha. Just so, I laugh because I'm just like, this, what? Anyway, I'm curious to know what you do for your brain. Tell me in the comments. Let's just normalize this together, because so anyway, okay, so here's how this conflict plays out, right? So so ridiculous. My autism wants the structure and the predictability and the rules, and the ADHD part of my brain needs the stimulation and the variety and the dopamine, because it's so because I've hacked this problem. I've worked with my brain and I hacked the problem. I have invested in the luxury of a personal trainer, which I'm incredibly grateful for. And that gives me two things my ADHD loves: external accountability and financial consequence. Because my brain goes, well, you're not going to disappoint a real human, are you? And who's waiting for us that we paid actual money to go to and see, right? Right. So I show up not because I love it, not because it gives me joy, but because my brain literally cannot wiggle out of the responsibility. But that's the trick, right? The trap is if I miss that session on a Monday, if I cancel or ghost or reschedule, my autistic brain goes, okay, it's scheduled, it's on the planet, it happens. 7 a.m., no deviation. But my ADHD brain goes, is it fun? No. Is there dopamine? No. Is it bright? Yes. Overstimulation? Maybe stay in bed and reorganize your spice rack in alphabetical order with beautiful colors. Maybe that's something you should do this morning. And suddenly I'm frozen because I've got one part of my brain demanding that the plan be followed almost exactly, and the other part refusing to engage unless it's actually exciting or urgent. And this is why I've kind of hacked it with accountability to a friend. Well, not a friend, but my personal trainer. And this is what we call ADHD paralysis. It's not laziness, it's this level of executive dysfunction that is really tricky to shift once you get it. And it's kind of this gap between I need to and I can't, and it becomes a brick wall you literally cannot climb over. And then when I miss the gym because I'm paralyzed, guess what happens next? Ding, ding, ding. Rejection, sensitivity, dysphoria. Now, if you haven't heard about this before, it's essentially the voice that says, oh my God, you're so fucking lazy. What a stupid cow. You can't even stick to your own plan. What an idiot. Why do you always mess it up? Oh my God, you're such a failure, girlfriend. Ugh, yuck. You're so gross. RSD is an intense emotional pain caused by the perception of failure or rejection or disappointment, even when no one else is judging you, even when it's fine, totally fine. It's an ADHD thing, but when it pairs with autistic shame spirals and perfectionism, it's like a meltdown inside your head. It's quiet on the outside, and you're just sitting there and you're like, I suck, I suck, I suck. But absolutely brutal internally. It's all you think about. It's like, I suck so much. Why can I not go to the gym? Like, this should be so easy. Why do other people find it easy? Why are there people that are into CrossFit cults? Thinking of a friend at work, and I'm just like, I'm so stuck in this like hot mess. Like, it is a fucking hot mess. Like, well, how have I gotten to this point? Like, what an ignom. Anyway, this is how missing one gym session turns into 3 days of guilt, shutdown, and executive dysfunction. Because I don't just skip a workout, I've broken a rule, I've disappointed myself, I feel like I'm failing at being me. And let me be clear, my trainer isn't actually mad, but my brain thinks he is, because that's what rejection sensitivity does. It turns a neutral schedule change into a shame hurricane.
I opened my journal and then I forgot what I was doing. Classic.
Here's the realization I had that hit really hard. It's actually not about the gym, it's about the system behind the gym. And when I feel like I'm failing at routines, it's not because I'm lazy or unmotivated. It's because the entire structure that helps me function has essentially quietly eroded and collapsed. And what has happened there for that to happen? So, for neurodivergent people, this is really common. We don't just rely on routines to be disciplined, we rely on them to feel safe, to anchor ourselves in a world that's a little bit too chaotic or fast moving for our brains to naturally navigate. So, when those systems fall apart, when we're just winging it day to day, we, even saying that makes me feel uncomfortable. We lose sight of how our routines support bigger goals like well being or self regulation or energy balance. So, research, like fascinating research around neurodivergent individuals, states that they often rely heavily on what's called external scaffolding, like planners, reminders, visual schedules to regulate internal states. Um, but they don't just help us do things; they help us make they help make us feel stable. because without those systems in place, executive dysfunction increases. This leads to disorganization, emotional volatility, task avoidance, especially when we can't clearly see the relationship between small daily actions and the long term goals. This is where I fell off the wagon. So I was just trying to win each day rather than focusing on the bigger picture. I was looking at one task at a time. Oh, I have missed the gym, but how does this play into my bigger well being picture? So one task fell apart, like missing the session, and I just couldn't zoom out. I couldn't say, but tomorrow we're going on a long walk or a swim. That's okay, we can adapt. Cool. Instead, I spiraled because the system I usually trust to hold me together actually wasn't there. So let's kind of talk about something that no one really warns you about when you're the organized one. What happens when your superpower stops working? Because my superpower is organization. Literally, I can keep everybody's plans in my head, and it's almost like I can see a calendar and work it out within my productivity times that I have set for myself. But what happens when it stops working? For me, planning is a massive part of how I self-regulate. It keeps me feeling safe. I just don't like structure. I really need it. And I'm usually really good at it. I love color coding, weekly layouts, knowing what's next. But when I'm stressed or burnt out or overwhelmed, I can't even open my planner. And that's not just frustrating, it feels like I've lost part of my identity. And this is something they don't talk about when you are diagnosed later, like late diagnosed autistic or ADHD. It's called skills regression. When under stress, a person temporarily loses access to previously reliable abilities. And specifically in autistic people, regression can appear as a sudden decline in executive functioning, emotional regulation, sensory tolerance, there's so many things, changes in routine, those can all lead to regression, which is fascinating in itself. So for ADHDers, this compounds with that like task initiation issue, and you've which is a key part of executive function. And then you combine it together, and in ADHD folks, the collapse of routine and supporting strategies can lead to shutdowns, masking fatigue, or executive paralysis. So I know that it's not, you know, I shouldn't bag on about the fact that this is so silly. I realize that it's just the way my brain works, and I'm learning more about how my brain works. So it's why we're sharing it here. So I kind of felt like I was watching my brain, I can't even talk. I felt like I was watching my brain glitch in real time. My go to strategies, my lists, my blocks of time, my time tracking, they weren't helping. And I just sat there thinking, I don't know how to get back. Like, I don't know how to get back to this. So here's what I actually had to do really painfully about planning and exercise. I actually got my support team together, and I say support team, literally my partner and my friend, and we literally did a whiteboard session. Here is the legitimate whiteboard session we drew. Um, and I'm lucky that my friend's got ADHD, and she reminded me that you just weren't looking at the bigger picture. So it wasn't about ticking off 3 gym sessions a week. It was about reconnecting with the why I wanted to move my body in the first place. So I had to stop asking, did I go to the gym 3 times, and kind of start asking, okay, well, what's the bigger goal this month? Did I actually get this many steps in, or something that's a little bit more bigger, like the why I was doing something? Is it that I want to feel more connected with my body? I want my nervous system to feel regulated. I want to sleep better. I want to move without shame. That's the real goal. It's not 3 times of gym a week. It's not hashtag fitness grind or hashtag CrossFit. So um, it's regulation, it's connection, it's presence. So once I had that bigger goal written down in my plan, I gave myself a couple of more ways to get there. And it actually changed that for me. When I saw all of the things I was doing together on a page, I was like, actually, I'm doing okay. I'm not failing. And it's okay if I miss this one, but let's keep moving forward. So now I find ways that I can move to and have more accountability in what I'm doing and be more emotionally supportive. Walking with a friend, walking with my son, swimming with my partner, because then I'm being productive, I'm getting a connection with somebody, I'm moving. It's usually after my productive set in stone hours. I'm still doing gym on a Monday because it gives me my week of structure. But if it doesn't happen, I have backups that still kind of honor the goal. And I'm struggling with it, but I'm getting better at it. So yeah, having those visual, flexible planning tools that combine that goal-orientated structure with kind of a more adaptive pacing have been shown to really reduce executive dysfunction and improve follow through in ADHD and autism, according to Shalev et al. In 2018. And that using planners, lols, that integrate energy levels or visual time horizons and modular task design, like shifting things across a week rather than day by day, can actually help reduce time rigidity and lower emotional dysregulation. And this approach really supports that key strategy in neurodivergent coaching known as zooming out to reframe, which gives context and lowers shame spirals, according to Hallowell and Ratley, 2021. Also, further research. I'm here for it. Autistic and ADHD individuals often respond better to movement when it's linked to social engagement, emotional regulation, or sensory comfort. Pfeiffer et al. And Crane et al. And shifting from outcomes based goals to values based intentions creates sustainable routines and reduces performance guilt. Neff 2011. So this is what I mean when I say we zoom out. Zoom out from the plan, reconnect to the purpose, and build in some options, not just bloody ultimatums, which I had been doing with myself, which I still am going to do with myself because that's just how I personally work. So that's where we're at. But at least we've got a couple of strategies in place. Okay, so if this video hit home and you're thinking, yep, that's my brain, that's my rule book, that's my spiraling week, I've got something that might actually help. Just free download, dude. It's free. According to Nibbles, it is definitely free, so download.
There's a free thing. Please take it before I roar.
I created just like an AuDHD friendly weekly planner. It's just, free. Download it, use it, help yourself zoom out, have a look at some visual opportunities, permission slips for when things go off script. I think that's the key thing, is the permission. And also, if rigid thinking and burnout spirals and planning guilt are your jam, it helps you kind of meet where you're actually at. So yeah, it's totally free and you can just grab it right now and it'll be down below. I'm curious to know though, what is your bigger goal this month? Not just the checkbox, but the reason behind it. I'm curious to know. Drop in the comments so we can kind of hold space for each other. Maybe if you want to have someone hold you accountable to that, I'm happy to hold you accountable to that. I could use someone's help to hold me accountable to that too. Um, so yeah, if your brain's ever made up a rule like you can't start on a Tuesday, hit like because hashtag same sames. Please subscribe more AuDHD friendly planning, thinking, and click on this video. Because it's all about time blocking without burnout. You're not broken, you're brilliant. And your planner just needs you to speak, your planner really just needs to speak your language. So let's do that.